Hello and welcome to X-SiM Racing. I will be your commentator for today, David Isaac. And we are in round 3. It's Saturday, it's practice day. Here we are in Brazil with Interlagos. Currently some of the drivers are out there warming up, but we are just admiring the beautiful scenery around a beautiful place. We have left the UK and we are now in beautiful, sunny Brazil. And it is time for practice day. It is time for some exciting racing here at X-SiM Racing. And, I'm really excited for race day 3. Week 2 was really interesting. Week 2, if you missed it, race 1's winner, Raul Diago, and race 2's winner, the 40-minute race, was won by David Perez. And the standings are as follows. David Perez is currently at the top of the rankings, Raul Diago just behind him, and in third, Denis Grabowski. If you don't know Interlagos, the track length is 4.32 kilometers. It is an absolute beast of a track. There are 15 turns, and it is something to behold. It is a difficult track. There's a lot of difficult turns in it, quite a wide track too. So we'll be seeing a lot of exciting, fast-paced driving today. This will be the racing format for tomorrow. Today's racing format is slightly different, as we don't have two main races for you. We just have qualifying and then the 20-minute practice race, and that'll give us a good format for tomorrow, a good level. We'll see which drivers, what they need to look out for, what they're gonna need to practice more, and we'll see exactly what these drivers are made of as we see some of the track here. Again, really beautiful track, less grassy than some of the ones you see in the UK. And there's a lot of grass around here, but this is different. Brazil's track's slightly different to the UK. They play slightly differently. You'll see it when you see some of these drivers going around now. It is a lovely sunny day in Brazil. Not that that's a shock to any of you. It's 24 degrees Celsius, 35% humidity. Lovely day for racing, I'd say. Not too hot, not too cold. Lovely, lovely. And I'm ready, as we say, 4.22 kilometers, and right in the beautiful outside, of the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Interlagos. So as you can see, some of the drivers are going around the track as we speak. We will join them shortly. But yes, X-SiM Racing. Race day 3. Again, if you've missed it, week 2's results. Raul Diago was the winner of the first race, with David Perez winning the big 40-minute race number 2. That was an absolutely exciting race, and if you missed it, you can go back to our VODs and check it out. I highly recommend that you do. It was absolutely fantastic viewing. If you want to find out more about any of the events, if you want to find out more about Interlagos or some of the drivers competing, you can go to xsimracing.com. and that'll tell you everything you need to know. Here are the championship standings. We're talking about David P. Perez, 298 points, only 6 points behind him, Raul Diago, and Denis Grabowski, who obviously won race number 2, takes third place. He won race day 1s, so he was top of the rankings last week, but has been taken over by David P. Perez and Raul Diago. However, not too far behind them, 278 points. Victor Lobato and William Chadwick are still quite close behind. And Adam Pintes, sorry, I misread that. Victor Lobato and Adam Pintes quite close behind. The top 5 are all quite close together. William Chadwick only a little bit behind as well. And then you drop down a little bit further when you're looking at Jordi Clara and Yannick van der Zande. Daniel Herrera and Pedro Oliveira finish out the top 10. As we see some of the cars now in practice coming round. There's the practice, and then we will have 15-minute qualifying and a 20-minute race. And if you aren't excited, you should better start getting excited, because there's a really fun track to watch, and these guys will be very fun on it. We drop down a little bit further. We see some of the people who have had a weaker start to the season, but it's not too long. You've got Tom Voss there with only 2 points. Obviously, Tom Voss was not racing last week, as he was helping with the spectator. He was spectating for us, but hopefully he's back racing this week. I'm not sure yet. But there he is, out on the track, Tom Voss, as you can see there. So he will be back out this week. Tom Voss, always fun to watch. Raul Diago, second. Hello. You'd think it's early, it's not. Raul Diago is second in the overall standings, as we just saw, but he's going to be looking to jump up again. He's only 6 points behind. It is very, very close, and Reldiago will 100% think that he can jump all the way up into top spot by the end of race day 3, which will put him in a really good position to win the entire season. I'm sure that's what he's looking to do. We're looking at Remco Barlow just at the moment as he comes into the pits. Again, these guys, about 14 minutes more of practice. We're just under halfway through now, as we see Winston Eckel take a nice long straight. Quite a wide track, this one. There is positions for overtaking, which is different to the last track we were on, Brands Hatch, where there, as the drivers commented on, quite a narrow hatch, that one. This one far larger and far easier to take over. Not that taking over any one of these drivers is in any way easy. As you see Winston Eckel now. Tight right hand to go down there. Very difficult. And a simple left for him. Again, trying to use as much of the track as he can in this practice, trying to get exactly where he wants to come inside on. You want to make sure that you are having as much space as possible for some of these tight turns, which is why you see the drivers on the outside track. Means that they can come inside on the turn and have enough space to take the corner at speed. Finishing his lap now, Winston Eckel, in case you're curious. Reldiago has the current top time with a 1:31.6. That is the fastest time. In practice, it will show you from 1st to 13th, the fastest time to the slowest time. This is not a race yet, so these drivers are not in order. They are just coming round, and whatever time you see is their fastest. So Reldiago currently the fastest with 1:31.6, and Monster Gandia is not too far behind him at all, only 36 hundredths of a second behind. As we see Aaron Hobson, not a great time at the moment, but again, they're just trying to get the handle of this track, this absolutely beautiful track. Lovely, nice right-hand turn there. Yeah, it takes as much of the space as he can and comes inside. This track is really interesting for a couple of reasons. It really has a mix of all. There are some very, very tight turns. As we see Aaron Hobson there absolutely spins out of the corner and comes onto the green little padding there. But as I was saying, some very interesting straights, a couple of tight, sharp turns, and some more graded turns where you really have to make sure that you can keep the momentum, you can keep your speed going through without overcooking it and making sure you go off. It's a very balanced track, which means you have to have a lot of different skill sets. Here we see Tom Voss. Here are a couple of tight turns right early on in the track. And the two tight turns to watch out for is turn 1 and 2, you've got that, and then it kind of repeats with turn 8 and 9, and another sharp on 10 and 12. So about 5 sharp turns in the entire track, and not every single one of them is quite difficult to get around, especially when you're going around turns 8 and 9. You got 2 tight, one after another. So a lot of concentration for each one of these drivers, especially when you're trying to be overtaken on a track that, again, as we were talking about, is not nearly as narrow as some of the other ones we've seen this weekend. So very interesting. We see Tom Voss now, fantastic driver in the Lamborghini, as he favours a lovely mix of cars that you didn't see last season, in case you were only here for last season and this is your first race day of this season. We have a lot more absolutely fantastic drivers and a lot more variety of cars. We have even a couple of Mercedes, which Michael is very, very happy with. Carlos Proca now. Let's see him take this corner. Bit of a raise as well, so you're trying to, you have to make sure you get that absolutely right as you elevate yourself with a couple of turns there. Takes a nice guided right, coming across and coming into quite a sharp turn here. This is the turn, coming into turn 10 now, the one I was just talking about. Quite a sharp turn, this one. It is Bico de Pato, in case you want to wear all of these names. Please forgive me if I get any of them in any way wrong. I'm sure I will learn these, but Portuguese, not my first language. And now that we have left the lovely UK, my ability to say druid moves on to my ability to speak Portuguese, which is weaker than some people's here. We've got, in case you weren't aware, we have some Brazilian drivers, some drivers from all over the world. Absolutely fantastic, each and every one of them. And it's absolutely fantastic that X-SiM Racing can host the best drivers from all over the world, no matter where in the world you may be. As long as you can drive very, very quickly around a racetrack, you can compete in X-SiM Racing for some of the fantastic prizes and some fantastic competition for each and every one of these guys. Juan Iglesias. If you look at the bottom now, we have 4 sectors to this racetrack, and if you aren't aware of what these numbers mean, a green means this is your personal best on the racetrack. A pink will mean that you have the fastest time in the sector of anyone on the racetrack, and a yellow or a red will mean you're a little bit slower than anyone else. Juan Iglesias, very helpful from him there, getting a nice pink time for me. A 1:31.4 means that is the best time anyone has done around this track, which again puts him into first place in practice. As we were talking about, some nice long straights on this track. Coming into turn 4, Descida do Lago. Oh, Monster Gandia there tries to turn right again. Not sure what happened for him there, but didn't commit into the corner, and I think tried to fix his position, and it ended up taking him off the track. Juan Iglesias again, someone to see how to do this track well, as he clearly knows how to do it better than most with a 1:31.4. Couple of tight turns there. That's turn 8 and 9 coming into turn 10. Takes that nice and neatly. Another quite tight turn for him there. In case you don't know, Interlagos is quite a famous Formula 1 track. Lots of absolutely fantastic races have taken place on here, and I'm sure that there will be some more today and tomorrow. If you don't know, today is practice day. It's practice Saturday, as it is every Saturday, where these drivers just get a handle and they really get to grips and learn to master the track before tomorrow, race day 3. Well, we will see each and every one of these guys compete to get themselves up the leaderboard, to get themselves some more points, and potentially further cement their position as a championship contender / championship winner. Now, nobody can win the championship on race day 3, but you can certainly lose it. You can certainly fall down into a position where it's almost impossible to catch up. As we see, Juan Iglesias again, we talked about him just a little bit earlier. There he is, going round turn number 4. Back to Tom Voss, and we're back to turns 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All these turns quite close to each other as we get into this windy section of the track. So, one where you kind of talk about all of this, quite a winding road, quite a lot of tight turns, one after another. Really a difficult place to keep track of, and a difficult place to keep your speed in. So you really need to make sure that you're taking these perfectly. It's all about having perfect form, as we see Tom Voss there comes out so he can take a tighter turn. If you didn't see, on X-SiM Racing's Twitter account, just go on to X-SiM Racing, go onto Twitter and look at X-SiM Racing. Tom Voss took everyone around this track in driver's mode. So if you haven't seen that yet, when this practice race is finished, go over to there and check us out on there. Give us a like and a retweet, and you can see Tom Voss go around this track. And trust me, he does it at some speed. So Tom Voss knows this track quite well already, but wants to know this track just a little bit better, and that is why he's here at practice. About 5 minutes left of practice now, as we finish the 19th minute. As we see him go around this tight little turn there, that's turn 1 and 2. First 2 little turns. It's an interesting one because you don't usually see such a tight turn coming out of the straight. You've got so much speed to build up as you pass the finish line / start line, and then you immediately have to brake really sharply. You have to brake very hard to make sure that you are in time so that you're not going to crash off the side when you go into that really first tight turn. So it'll be very exciting later on today when we get into the race and tomorrow to see just how brave some of these drivers can be to make up a couple of seconds, make up half a second. You know, if they are willing to brake late into that tight turn, if they feel they have the control to brake late into that tight turn to make sure that they can make up just a bit of time and complete a better track time. Because it is risk reward when you're looking at drivers like this. They are balancing the ability to gain speed with the danger and the risk of crashing, which, as everyone knows, can absolutely take you out of a race. And I haven't yet seen anyone make a mistake like that and still win a race. It really, these drivers are too high level for mistakes not to cost you too much. And on race day, a mistake like that is really going to cost you. See, just look at the brakes Sam Van there has to put on. He was going at such speed, and a huge brake. Oh, Sam Van, unfortunately not able to control that in those tight turns, as we talked about. Really, really tight, really, really difficult to go around. Had too much speed. He braked hard, but unfortunately wasn't enough to be able to get around both of those turns. He did the first one fairly well, wasn't able to recover for turn 2. As you see, as he tries to come out of the come into the second turn, sorry, he unfortunately just comes in too fast and cannot recover well enough to go into turn 2. And that just took him out, took him off the track, and he is back in the pits. Remco Barlow now. My WPR Racing is going to take this sharp left. It's an interesting left, that one, because it is quite sharp because of the speed you're building, but follows into a gradual turn. So you got a sharp turn and then a gradual turn, one right after the other. So definitely one to watch out for and see how these guys can do it when they've got someone right on their back or they've got someone right in front of them. Can definitely affect performance. You'll see some of these times jump up, you'll see some of them go down. That is what happens when you are stuck in a pack of drivers, and that is a different challenge between going through the racetrack by yourself and going with 15, 40 other drivers. Sometimes you can see up to 40 other drivers we've seen on these race days going around the track with you, all clogging up and making it very, very difficult to take these corners really well while maintaining speed. There's just so many dangers you constantly have to be aware of, and you constantly have to make sure you're not making huge mistakes. Remco Barlow takes that really nicely. It was really nice and tight there from Remco Barlow, and I'm sure that positively affected his time. It did. Not well enough for him to improve on his last time, but there you see him taking both corners really sharply there. As much of the track, he uses as much of the track as he can to get himself the best possible launch point for this long straight before the sharp left. Not very much practice left. Only about a minute 30. But probably enough time for each and every one of these drivers to get one more lap in. We'll probably see Remco Barlow finish this and then take another lap, I would imagine. In case you don't know, Remco Barlow currently driving in the X-SiM car, an X-SiM racing car. All of these cars are sponsored with absolutely lovely, lovely libraries. And if you don't know more about them, or if you'd like to know more about them, you can go on to xsimracing.com and learn more about each and every one of these sponsors. All of them absolutely fantastic to do so, and they get a lovely livery and a lovely get to sponsor one of these absolutely fantastic drivers. And trust me when I say that all of these drivers do their sponsors proud. Remco Barlow flies through the track. That was very nice and simple as we followed Remco Barlow all the way through. He's not going to complete one more lap. He's just going to stop there and move on to qualifying. The best lap time in total was completed by this man, Juan Iglesias, with a 1:31.4. Very impressive for him. Not going to finish his lap either. Looks like practice just going to come to a halt. All these guys just going to stop. No, it looks like Antonio Solada wants to improve on his time. Doesn't get to, though, unfortunately. Doesn't stop. Racing has finished. Practice has finished. And we are on to the qualifying for today's main event. the practice race, which these guys will take just as seriously as they take anything. And if I know drivers, they take everything very, very seriously. They don't want to lose at absolutely anything. As we see here in the AEN car, qualifying is going to begin. And let's see who can get pole position for the main event, the race. A lovely view on Monster Gandia now. As you can see, this track quite wide, some narrowish points as we narrow into the straight, but overall lots of positions for overtakes. As we see, it's a lovely view, this one. It's a really nice bird's eye view, and it really gives you a good idea of how these drivers are going to take this track. Raul Diago, an absolute master of driving. Really, really fantastic. He'll show you how to do any track with the utmost calm and the utmost pomp. Coming round now into turn 6. Takes it really nice, and this is where you really don't have time to go on the outside lane. You just have to hope that you can get into it right after coming in to make sure that you're ready for the next tight loop. So super interesting how this track works, and it'll be interesting to see through actual racing how it affects the drivers. We've seen very few, to be fair, very few in relative crashes, only a couple. Some of those English tracks, really, some of these drivers had some issues with and were flying all over the place. But here, most of them seem to get some of these tight turns really well. Obviously, we are only in practice where there is a lot less commotion and a lot less difficulty to be had in completing these tracks. But let's see how these do on this tight left. Taken with aplomb from Remco Barlow. Continue following him as he comes into turn 6. Takes it nice on the inside, keeps the inside before taking out to go round a very, very, very tight right. And then a tight left, slightly less so though. That right is really, really, really tight. One of the tightest ones on the track. But you got another one here. This is turn 10 they were just going into there, and that one is an absolute nightmare to get your car around. You really have to make sure that you're braking but not stopping. One of the biggest issues for tight turns is to make sure that your car is not just standing still going at a snail's pace, as some of these more experienced drivers will overtake you in rapid time if you are too slow on some of those tight turns. Some of these qualifying times will start to come in, and let's see who can finish this in pole position. Monster Gandia, a 1:31.9 overtakes Remco Barlow's. Tristan Klopp, a 1:33. Aaron Hobson, a 1:37. Sam Van, a 1:33. Juan Iglesias back on top with a 1:31.5. Let's see what happens here. Just comes off. Gives himself a bit too much room, if anything. Tries to get as much space as possible for the next turn, but maybe gives himself a bit too much space, a bit too much power, and comes off. That's Tom Voss there in the Lamborghini. A very difficult car to use. Difficult to use, but once you've mastered it, it is an absolutely beautiful car to drive. And a very fantastic experience for the Masters. Juan Iglesias keeps his total position. Monster Gandia just behind him. Remco Barlow once again just behind that. We've seen a few people not finish yet, from Tom Voss down to Fabian Tobin. They have yet to produce times. Juan Iglesias with the fastest time so far. Monster Gandia just behind him. We follow Monster Gandia at this moment in the AEN car as he comes round turn 14 and turn 15. Curves round, building up as much speed as he can. Does he improve on his time? He does, a 1:31.9. That is an improvement, but not good enough to overtake Juan Iglesias, who has a 1:31.5. 0.4 of a second faster than Motogadia, and Harrison jumps up from his 137 to a 132.8. Clearly his first lap was an outlier in his speed. There is Raldiago. Takes pole position from Juan Iglesias, a 131.5. Quick from Raldiago. Juan Iglesias is going to want to take that back off him. Following Raldiago now as he takes some of these tight turns. At pace, he is on a practice lap. Not sure what the plan was there. I think Carlos Roca just wanting to take an outlap there. I don't know why he came off. I just think he decided it was for the best. We'd have to see what happened with him there. Yeah, I don't see why he turns off there. He comes off the track, takes a right, but I'm not sure why he does so. It doesn't seem like it was unless it was just a mistake, but it seems like a strange mistake to make, so I can't exactly explain it to you why that's happened, but it has happened, and we're only in qualifying, so it'll be no problem at all. Here he is, still on his outlap though, so he will not be judged on this time. We'll have to follow him.
I wasn't sure as well what happened there.
Currently we see Raldiago still in pole position. 3 people yet to post a time. Tom Voss, Winston Eckel and Fabian Tobin have yet to post a time. As I say so, Fabian Tobin posted 1:33.1. Not the fastest time. He'll want to improve that before his course finishes, before his race is run, if I was going to be very Machiavellian. Coming into Sam Van now, currently taking up the last place position, but Sam Van can do better and is looking to do better now on this lap. Takes that quite nice and tidily there. Quite a difficult turn. Here we go into a difficult right-hand turn. Let's see how he does. Tom Voss just finishing his lap now. If he came off there, he might not get timed on it, but I'm not sure if he came off. We'll have to see when he finishes. That's turn 15 he's coming into now, which is a simple right-hand turn before he finishes his lap. Let's see where he places. And he jumps all the way up into 4th place, Tom Voss, with a 1:31.9. Really not that far away from Raldiago with a 1:31.58. Really very little in between 1st and 4th. A very recoverable and improvable time for Tom Voss. He can really make up just those tiniest bits of second, though some would argue, and some racers would definitely tell me, that those small amounts are the most difficult to change, the most difficult to improve upon. Tom Voss now, turn 6. And the tightest of rights. Can he slow his car down enough to control this? Yes, he can. Really nice there from Tom Voss, actually. That's very, very nice from him. Very smooth as silk from Tom Voss. Coming out of turn 9 and coming in to turn 10. Did that very nicely. Final couple of turns for Tom Voss. Will he improve on his time? Takes as much of that as he can so he can really power down the inside. But this time, unlike the mistake we saw him make earlier, he does not put too much into it and he does not go off the other end. That's turn 14 there. Subida dos boxes is how I pronounce it, even though I'm probably wrong. Tom Voss comes into the pit there. I think he probably came off, and I think that's why his time slowed down. It does get recorded into a 1:34.3, but obviously not an improvement there from Tom Voss, as his fastest is a 1:31.9. Back to Raldiago now, as he takes as much of the space as he can. Comes round, slows it down just a little bit, though sometimes the slower cars can actually be faster than they first appear. It's a weird thing where the slower you look, the faster you are. comes around turn 15 there and looks to absolutely power into the best time, but the best time is much improved. It is Juan Iglesias with a 1:31.3. Very, very good there from Juan Iglesias, as he takes pole position back from Raul Diago, who's only able to post a 1:31.7 on that one there, as we see Juan Iglesias take a tight right-hand corner very nicely indeed. That's a tight left, not a tight right. That is a tight left-hand corner, was the one they were all taking. As we see, everybody else comes to take it now. Tom Voss, really nice and tidy from him. Nice and tidy from Raul Diago as well. Both men lovingly and neat. Following the racing line, Raul Diago a little slow there. Gets overtaken by Gregorio Perez as they come into turns 6, 7 and 8. Gregorio Perez nice and tidy around turn 8. Coming into turn 10. Martin Hobson jumps up the leaderboard with a 1:31.8. Let's see how Gregorio Perez takes turn 10. Really slows the car down just enough to get around the turn there. Tom Voss does the same. Not early on the brakes, quite sensible though. No serious risk taking on the braking. No crazy late brakes we've seen yet. I think none of the drivers are comfortable enough with the track to take any serious risks, or don't think any of them feel like they need to at this stage, as we are only in the qualifying, and we are only 12 minutes into qualifying, which means there is 3 minutes of qualifying left. Not a huge amount, only a fifth of qualifying left to go. But that is enough for a couple more laps, a couple more times. Tom Voss not going to get his lap time recorded, as he comes off there on turn 3, and that will mean that this time will not count. Whoa, there's a bit of oversteers into the corner as he comes round, just not able to take it properly and flies off the side right into the grass. Tom Voss probably going to be upset with his time there, as this is a waste of time and his thing will not matter as he went onto the grass. Unfortunately there, as he just comes off. I don't know what the issue was, but I just feel like it seems like he just didn't like his time, maybe wanted to just go into the pits, so he stops his time then and there. Tom Voss now coming round turn 10 at speed. Again, brakes pretty early, making sure he has enough time to get round. In case you didn't see, you can go to Twitter, follow us on X-SiM Racing, and you can see Tom Voss take this lap, take this track in driver's mode all the way through, so you can experience what he's experiencing as he goes around this track in driver mode. Very, very useful, and something to check out after you're finished watching us here practice, ready for tomorrow. If you haven't already, please give it a like and a retweet. We would very much appreciate it. Gregorio Perez with a 1:32.2 and Raul Diago with a 1:31.3 rapid times, and only a 1:31.340 from Juan Iglesias and a 1:31.346 from Raul Diago. There is really nothing between those two. Absolutely nothing at all. A blink of an eye separates Juan Iglesias from Raul Diago at the moment. Really nothing at all. As we see some of the drivers take on just a little later, they seem to start having a few more problems on some of these tight turns. That was Carlos Roca there having a bit of an issue. Only a minute left to practice. Sorry, qualifying. Raul Diago comes into turn 10. Bico de Pato. Named for some very exciting reasons. I can promise you that, I just don't know what they are. Because I do not speak Portuguese. Will I figure it out? Yes, I'm sure I will. But it doesn't matter if I need to figure that out. What I need to figure out is just how quickly Raul Diago gets around a track. And I don't think that science could tell you that. I just think he's magic. He's a magical man. In the Dream Factory car, Dream Factory sponsoring Raul Diago, and making him race like he's in a dream where the rules of physics don't matter and he can drive at ungodly speeds. A 1.3, 1.381, not fast enough to improve on Juan Iglesias' time, so he will end just behind Juan Iglesias, and as qualifying finishes, these times will be the finalised times. So Juan Iglesias will have pole position going into the main event of Saturday, the practice race. If you aren't aware, this is race day 3 in Brazil. It's Interlagos, very famous track just outside of Sao Paulo. And the current standings for tomorrow, for race day 3 here at Interlagos, David Perez is in pole position in the standings. Raul Diago only 6 points behind him, and Denis Grabowski just behind him, taking up third. Very exciting, and each and every one of these men could conceivably take a massive lead here on race day 3, but I'm sure it will remain absolutely very, very close. Jordi Clara, William Chadwick, Adam Pintes, and Victor Lobato all could take top spot by the end of tomorrow. It is all possible for each and every one of those men. It's possible a bit further down, more unlikely though. So a lot of places still to change and a lot of excitement still to be had as we go into tomorrow's race. But I'm excited for the main event here on Saturday, the practice race. Juan Iglesias, Raul Diago, Montogandia, Martin Hobson, the top 4. Tom Voss takes 5th, Remco Barlow 6th, Antonio Solada 7th. Gregorio Perez will be in 8th spot, with Aaron Hobson in 9th. Carlos Roca will take 10th spot, Fabian Tobin 11th, Tristan Klopp 12th, Sam van Koevoorden will be 13th, Winston Eckel 14th, and Milo Spielman will be in 15th, as both Winston Eckel and Milo Spielman did not put in a qualifying time. So if they race, they will be racing from the back. That is why, despite the fact they are not in a named position, they will still be further down. But the main event is Juan Iglesias and Raul Diago. So close. Absolutely nothing between Juan Iglesias' time of 1:31.3 and Raul Diago's time of 1:31.346. That is unbelievably close. And here's another look at the positioning in the race. Juan Iglesias first, Raul Diago second, Moto Gandia third, and Martin Hobson fourth. Thank you very much, production. Tom Voss fifth, Remco Barlow sixth, Antonio Solada seventh, Gregorio Perez Sesma going to take 8th, Aaron Hobson going to take 9th, and Carlos Roca going to take 10th. Fabian Tobin 11th, Tristan Klopp will be in 12th. In 13th will be Sam van Koevoorden, and as you can see now, Winston Eckel and Milo Spielman 14th and 15th respectively. They will be placed at the back of the track despite not placing a qualifying time. Now we wait for the clock to tick, for the cars to be in position, and for the race, the 20-minute race, to begin. The drivers are getting ready. We are getting ready. We're in the lovely Brazil, Interlagos. And they're off. A fast start is absolutely vital in racing, and X-SiM racing is no different. Raul Diago takes an early lead over Juan Iglesias. Follow Montogandia just behind the two of them. Raul Diago, that early lead could be super important. He gets a faster start than Juan Iglesias, and as we saw, there was almost nothing to separate the two men. So will that start be enough for Raul Diago to keep his lead all the way through? As we were saying, this is a wider track than some of the UK tracks we saw. There is far more positions for overtakes. Both men go into the tight now. Coming round, they've come out of the tights pretty well, no major issues. Winston Eckel drops out, and we finish, and we are going into the long straight finish is going into a right now, and another right is coming into the sharp turns now is where we're going. Turn 6 and 7 all the way through 10 are 4 very, very sharp turns, one after another. Very easy to make a mistake when there's this many cars to follow and there's this little time to react. gotta follow the racing line perfectly. The synchronicity, you'd think they train together to get themselves so synchronized, but each and every one of them want that synchronicity to the end. They want the one in front of them to make a mistake, and they want to capitalize on it. Patience, the name of the game. As you see Montegandia, Tom Voss is on his back. I've spoken about Tom Voss in every race day that I possibly can, and talked about how fun he is to watch as a driver. He is a nightmare to get past, and he is a nightmare to have behind you, as he is a very aggressive driver. He loves the overtake, and he's looking for the overtake on Montegandia. Can he keep it? As he takes the inside, he can. Tom Voss takes third place. Montegandia drops down into fourth. Very impressive from Tom Voss there, and it was the aggression we were talking about. He's such an exciting driver to watch. In the lead at the moment is Raul Diago, still ahead of Juan Iglesias. Martin Hobson fifth there, looking for the overtake on Montegandia, unable to get it as these drivers come into one of the straights of the map, coming into turn 4 now. Let's see the replays as we're following Aaron Hobson. Look at those 3 cars. That's what we were talking about. Aaron Hobson, unfortunately, just gets bullied off the track there. Just a little bit of an issue is the other 2 made it so there was really no space for him to turn. Because of that, he really had to turn late and he had to brake hard. And he was not able to control his car as his car flew off the back of the track. We'll follow Fabian Tobin now. He was looking for an instant overtake on Tristan Klopp. Unable to get it. Tries to keep the line. Does keep the line. As these guys now come into some sharp turns, which is very difficult to overtake in. But they can do it if a mistake is made. Looking to overtake before he got into the turn, unable to do so. Coming out of turn 15 now. Sorry, they were a little bit further ahead than I thought they were. Raul Diago with the 131.4. Juan Iglesias with a 131.7. Tom Voss not too far behind any of them. Fabian Tobin, Tristan Klopp just behind him, but Fabian Tobin was able to get the overtake. Milo Spielman drops down quite a bit. I wonder if he made a mistake and a crash. Looks like he probably did, as he's now 4 seconds behind Sam Van. As they come into finishing their second lap, we see Milo Spielman. Oh, wow, yes, unfortunate. Brakes far later than everybody else. Unable to brake in time, which means he has to brake hard to stop himself from crashing into the back of Sam Van, I'd imagine. So he spins out, unfortunately, because again, very difficult braking, very hard braking for him there. Sam Van was behind him. Sam Van actually took advantage of that mistake, meaning you're looking probably more at Tristan Klopp and Carlos Roca as the ones. Tristan Klopp and Fabian Tobin, my apologies, as the people that he was looking to overtake. We follow Remco Barlow now. He's looking at Montegandia. He's looking ahead of him. AEN car being chased by the Dutchman. As you see the battle for fourth. Montegandia, Remco Barlow, Gregorio Perez. Tom Voss not looking for the battle for fourth. He's looking to keep third place and take over in jumping up into first and second, but there is quite a considerable distance between first and second and Tom Voss. So he is looking to make up some of that time. 3 seconds behind, quite a considerable distance, not uncatchable as we are only a quarter of the way into this absolutely exciting race. I am in love with this track. I think that it's beautifully made. I think that the width of it really allows for exciting races. I think the tight turns can make or break these drivers, and I think that some of these very long straights mean that the speed built up is electric, and each and every one of these drivers drives on it so well. It's such a difficult track to drive on, but they all do it magically and magnificently. Tristan Klopp on the back of Fabian Tobin, brakes later, almost catches him in the back, needs to make sure that he doesn't, but needs to make sure that he can somehow find a way past Fabian Tobin. Gonna be tough, gonna need to take a risk if he wants to. Fabian Tobin not giving him any daylight at all, not giving him any room to overtake, and it looks like Fabian Tobin will have the space to keep his position, but none of Tristan Klopp can say anything about it. Tristan Klopp almost lost it there. If you saw, he had a bit of an issue. Raul Diago and Juan Iglesias, which one of them can keep it? Juan Iglesias looks like he's taken it over Raldiago. He has. Raldiago's going to look to take it back, but Juan Iglesias is not going to let it go easily after spending so long taking it. Oh, very lovely turn by Juan Iglesias. Raldiago was pushed out wide, and Juan Iglesias just takes the inside with authority. Then you saw him make sure that he could get in front of Raldiago. He took the outside while Raldiago was driving to make sure that Raldiago had absolutely no speed to make up. He just couldn't make up the speed to get ahead of him. Martin Hobson now overtakes Carlos Roca with a nice little turn. Carlos Roca took it way too wide, and Martin Hobson made him pay. Now Martin Hobson looking to overtake Antonio Solada, about a second behind him. A bit of a gap opening up between some of these drivers now, as this track looks to be a little more spread than some you may have seen in the past. At the bottom you see Aaron Hobson looking to overtake Milo Spielman, and Milo Spielman looking to take Sam Van, but all three of them have made early errors that give them a lot of work to do. Juan Iglesias is still in prime position after winning it back from Raldiago. Raldiago very sneakily, very impressively took pole position almost immediately from Juan Iglesias, who, if you have only just joined us, started in pole position. He had the best qualifying time, just beating out Raldiago's qualifying time by the slimmest of margins. But Raldiago took it very, very sneakily, and Juan Iglesias fought for 7 minutes to get it back. But now that he does, he is not going to let it go, and Raldiago has it all to do if he wants to get it back. Tom Voss valiantly looking to catch both men, but it seems unlikely. There is a considerable distance with about half the race left to go. 3.6 seconds between Tom Voss and Raldiago. That is not inconsiderable. That is quite a serious amount. In a 40-minute race, I could absolutely see him making up 3.6 seconds. In a 20-minute race, it seems unlikely. Fabian Tobin there, pretty sure he made contact with Carlos Roca to take him off the track. That is not what you want to see, and Carlos Roca has had a difficult start, comes back to the bottom of the track. That's really unfortunate there for Carlos Roca, because I'm pretty sure contact is made as he is spiraled off the track by Fabian Tobin. Let's see it once again. All of these men. Yeah, there's contact there. And contact again. It seems like Carlos Roca actually makes the initial contact, drives just a little bit too fast. The person ahead of him brakes quicker than Carlos Roca anticipated. So Carlos Roca bumps into the back of him, which sends him backwards and into another car. So less malicious than could have ever been anticipated. It seems like just a collection of errors, and Carlos Roca was the man that was incredibly unlucky in that exchange. But I don't think there was anything dirty in that. I think it was just an accidental collision. So unfortunate for Carlos Roca, but that does happen in driving. You cannot take away that this is a contact sport and drivers will collide. Lucky part of X-SiM racing though, and the best part of X-SiM racing in comparison to regular racing, is crashes will not endanger drivers, which is fantastic to see. In X-SiM racing, the worst thing that happens if you crash is you get upset. It's an upset driver who has a poor race, but there is no danger that these drivers will be injured in some of these crashes, which means you can just enjoy the crashes for what they are, which is a bit of crazy excitement in a race full of crazy excitement. Have a look at some of these sponsors again. In the Kuvarit car, Fabian Tobin. Maybe not the time Fabian Tobin wants to show off the side of his car as he comes into that turn, but a lovely way for us to show his beautiful livery, the Kuvarit car of Fabian Tobin. Yeah, just loses control of the turn. Not sure what happens, but I think he just loses concentration for half a second or a second, and it costs him, which is a great example of how much concentration these drivers have to have. There is such a level of skill in these drivers, and 20 minutes of just pure concentration on their faces to make sure that they don't make mistakes like the one Fabian Tobin made. Really unfortunate for him there. Going to cost him a bit of time, going to cost him quite a few positions. However, only 12th, which is not awful for him. Tom Voss improves on his time with a 1.5, really not bad from Tom Voss. However, you can see that he's now 4.3 seconds behind, so an almost uncatchable. Unless Raul Diago and Juan Iglesias have a contact and a crash, it is almost impossible for Tom Voss to make up that speed. But he is going to look to cement third place, which is absolutely nothing to be sniffed at. Third place is still very, very impressive, and Mazda Gandia thinks it's so impressive that he wants it for himself. He's trying to steal Tom Voss's third place, and it is close between the two of them. But we were talking about Tom Voss. He is a brick wall. He does not let people past him easily. Tom may get annoyed at me for that, because every single time I've said that about him, he has immediately lost his position. I don't know what it is. He's fantastic 90% of the time, but when I talk about him, he makes an error. Aaron Hobson, and looks like Aaron Hobson and Carlos Roca there. Yes, it is. Aaron Hobson just blocks the road, makes an error, and Carlos Roca. This is a race for him to forget. You can't get more unlucky than what Carlos Roca is getting. Really nowhere for him to go. Aaron Hobson just blocking the entirety of the road. Just overcommits to his turn. And there is nowhere for Carlos Roca to go. Carlos Roca has to turn off the track. Otherwise, it would be a horrible collision with Aaron Hobson. So Carlos Roca has had two major problems in this race, and I don't think either one of them could be blamed on him. I think both of them are just unfortunate circumstances that come with such high-level racing, and a mistake from Aaron Hobson really cost him. And it cost Carlos Roca as well. Both men absolutely miles behind. Milo Spielman with a collision with Sam Van now. And these guys are having a lot of trouble coming round these very tight corners together. You can see how tight these corners can be. When both men try and take it at once, they're just... This first turn has taken out 3 different drivers. 4 different drivers even. As you're looking, yeah, Milo Spielman has no space to turn in. Sam Van, in some ways, probably should have given him a bit more space to turn and should have maybe come out a little bit wider. But with these narrow turns, you really have to keep your driving line. And Milo Spielman just nowhere to turn, tries to turn into, obviously has to turn into Sam Van in some ways, or just slow down, but he does neither, and neither outcome benefit Milo Spielman as he crashes into the side of Sam Van, and both drivers have an issue. We go back to the top end of the driving line as Raul Diago still chasing Juan Iglesias. Both these men looking to take first place going into the first turn. Will we see a collision from these guys? It's unlikely, but it is possible. These turns are deadly. These first 2 turns, it's a really interesting track, as it's very unusual to have such early turns be so devastating for drivers. But on this track, it is their paradise. Their paradise is in difficulty. Their paradise is in triumph over difficulty. And Raul Diago is looking to triumph over Juan Iglesias, but to do that, he has to find an opening. He has to find an overtake. Can Raul Diago overtake Juan Iglesias? Sticking to him like glue, but currently unable to find an opening. Following Tristan Klopp now. Going through that tight left. Looking, he keeps as wide a line as he can. Does alright there, nothing too problematic from Tristan Klopp there on the replay. Right, so we go back to Raul Diago following Juan Iglesias. It looked like Tristan Klopp maybe took it a little bit wide, but really no major issue from him there. Martin Hobson has come off the track there. Bit of an issue for him. 7 seconds behind Gregorio Perez, 8 seconds behind. You're looking at the top 6 there is fairly cemented. It's unlikely that there will be a change between these cars now, as Martin Hobson slides, just drifts. Martin Hobson with a Tokyo drift here in Brazil. Not what he wanted there. Again, these tight turns are absolutely killers. And if you come into them with too much speed, if you come into them with too much gumption, you will fly off this handle. And Milo Spielman and Sam Van, these two could not be less happy with each other. This race has neither one of them has been overly fortunate, and both these men are going to take a tight turns at the same time, and Sam Van comes off now. These guys are having an absolute nightmare facing each other. Neither of these guys can keep on the track when they're like stuck to each other. It's like their magnets repelling each other. There are opposite poles, and it is every time they get close to each other, you can just disaster comes. This time it's Sam Van who is on the worst end of it, as he just flies off the side, tries to take it wide, but takes it far too wide and comes off onto the grass. Takes it wide again. Looking for an improvement. Remco Barlow looking for 4th place. Tom Voss now 5 seconds behind Raul Diago and Juan Iglesias. The battle for first is between Juan Iglesias and Raul Diago, and 3rd place looks like it's Tom Voss's alone, but Monster Gandia could still catch him. Remco Barlow looking to overtake Monster Gandia to take that top 4. The top 4 is usually the best positions you want to be in. Top 4 is a very impressive finish. 5th is no pushover, but in racing, being in the top 4 is quite prestigious, and Remco Barlow wants that prestige that comes with it. Raul Diago right on the tail of Juan Iglesias in the Dream Factory car, the livery shining beautifully. Can he shine today in this race, overtaking Juan Iglesias right on his bumper? I'm sure if you're Juan Iglesias, you're hoping that the wing mirrors read, people behind you may be closer than they appear, but that would not be true, as Raul Diago is right on your tail. There is no mirror, there is no illusion. It is the truth that you absolutely have to drive perfectly if you're Juan Iglesias, because Raul Diago is so desperate for the overtake, and he is so desperate for Juan Iglesias to make a mistake he can capitalise on. As they come around turn 10 now, both men have to take these tight turns. Juan Iglesias cannot be cautious. Juan Iglesias cannot brake early, because Raul Diago will absolutely take advantage of that. And or if Juan Iglesias brakes too early, there may be a contact, and that would be Juan Iglesias' fault. So he really can't afford to make any mistakes, has to be absolutely perfect. But there is only 1 minute 30 left in this race. Raul Diago has very, very little time to make his move. He is really, really close to him. Tom Voss looks like he's got 3rd all wrapped up. Raul Diago makes his move successfully and flies past Juan Iglesias. You could just see Raul Diago is hunting him down like a hound. He smelt blood in the water, and he overtakes Juan Iglesias just desperately. Juan Iglesias was trying to hold his lead as we come into the last minute, but Raul Diago gave him no mind at all, gave him absolutely no speed. Juan Iglesias, look at that! Juan Iglesias just, his car shakes, it rattles, the tiniest mistake, and Raul Diago noticed it and powered past him on the tights. Turn 1 and 2 are a killer, and they may have killed Juan Iglesias' dreams of finishing in 1st position. As we look further down, it's Milo Spielman, who is still ahead of Sam Van and looking to overtake Fabian Tobin. That race took Sam Van out of it as he came off the track earlier, as we saw Milo Spielman just behind Fabian Tobin looking to take the top 10 position. Tom Voss still looks like he has 3rd place all wrapped up, but Raul Diago at the last minute possible, no time left. Raul Diago, Super Raul, he takes the position here in Brazil. Whoa, Milo Spielman, I believe that could easily just cost him his position as he flies into a wall at full pelt. Will Raul Diago wrap this race up? Looks like he absolutely will. Very impressive from Raul Diago, who takes 1st place from a devastated Juan Iglesias, who had that in the bag, but Raul Diago just too determined to take it. Tom Voss takes 3rd, Montegandia 4th, Remco Barlow unfortunately unable to get past him, Gregorio Perez 6th, Tristan Klopp now looking to come into 7th, looking to take that from Antonio Salada, and he does. Tristan Klopp takes 7th, Antonio Salada 8th. What an exciting race that was. That was absolutely magical as we saw Raul Diago capitalise on the smallest mistake from Juan Iglesias. Those two were back and forth all the way through that race, but Raul Diago, when the clock strikes 12, he shall appear and he shall overtake you. Raul Diago at the last minute possible. Carlos Roca there has decided he's done with driving for the day. He's finished in 13th, and today has been a bit of a car crash for him, so it is quite fitting that he crashes his car in celebration when of finishing a race that did not look kindly upon him. Still did not finish last, though. An unfortunate finish, but he probably learned a lot about this track, learned a lot about the corners to teach and the corners to mistake. Practice. What a Saturday that was. I desperately hope tomorrow's races are just as exciting. I'm sure they will be. Raul Diago wins another practice race. He won last week. He won this week. He is the king of Saturday. Juan Iglesias so unfortunate not to take first place. The smallest mistake cost him big as he only gets second. And Tom Voss now third place. Race results flying by as fast as these races were. Fourth place Monster Gandia. 5th place, Remco Barlow. 6th place, Gregorio Perez Sesma. 7th place, Justin Klopp. 8th place, Antonio Solada. 9th place, Martin Hobson. 10th place, rounding out the top 10, Fabian Tobin takes it from Sam van Coevorden, who had an unfortunate race with his battles with Milo Spielman, who absolutely cost himself massively. Carlos Roca, who will have nightmares about some of the things that happened in this race. I've never seen a more unlucky man who's gotten into more car crashes that were not in any way his fault. Aaron Hobson takes 13th. Milo Spielman cost himself late as he absolutely flew into a sideboard right at the end of the race, a race that cost him big, and Winston Eckel 15th as he did not finish or complete the race. Winston Eckel, unfortunate, but it is what it is. What an exciting race that was. I am so excited for Interlagos tomorrow, race day 3 here at X-SiM Racing. David Perez still has top spot, but Raul Diago, the king of Saturday, Raul Diago looks to take it from him. Very, very exciting. Looks like maybe Tom Voss wants to come in to talk about this race. I'd be interested if he feels like coming in. I'd be happy to talk to him and ask him a couple of questions about this fantastic race and his performance on it. We'll see if that ends up happening. But Raul Diago must be very confident. Only 6 points behind David P. Perez. Any position over will take him the lead. And here is Tom Voss now. Hey Tom, how was that race for you?
Well, pretty difficult race. The Lamborghini isn't fit for this track. The last corner, I was struggling massively there, so yeah, I couldn't catch up. So yeah, difficult race.
Yeah, unfortunate. The two ahead of you were just a little bit too on the money today. But why is the Lamborghini not suited for this? Is it the tight corners?
I think it's the medium speed corners. The car breaks out at the rear, so yeah, it's pretty difficult to drive around here. And also, if I look at the others, his lines, they are not using the curbs. Well, I need to use those curbs to even get the car rotated. So it's not a great car for here, but we fight on. So.
Well, you look great driving it. The car looks great, so surely that counts for something. So how did today prepare you for tomorrow? Are you more confident for tomorrow after having today's race?
I know where my weaknesses are, so and where I can overtake. So and where I can expect lunges from other drivers. So I think I'm prepared for tomorrow. So.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you're looking to climb up the championship standings quite a bit. You're only on, I believe, 2 points at the moment, but you did miss this weekend as you were filling in for spectating. So, this Sunday, tomorrow, you want to jump up that leaderboard. I'm sure you're able to.
Yeah, 2 times P1. Easy.
Easy. In the Lamborghini. Difficult car, difficult position, but still easy for Tom Voss.
Of course.
Do you have anything else you would like to say to the people watching you and the people watching X-SiM Racing?
I hope you like the practice race and come back tomorrow because the race is gonna be awesome.
It absolutely will be. Thank you very much, Tom.
No worries.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching again. Tomorrow, you can watch us as we take on Interlagos Race Week 3. If you thought this practice race was exciting, it was absolutely fantastic, and it will get only better tomorrow. We will see what will happen in the championship standings. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.